Hey, welcome to the Summit Host Hangout podcast, where you'll learn how to host a high converting virtual summit that leads to your biggest signature offer launch yet. I'm your host, Krista from Summit in a Box, and I have what I think is a good topic for us to kick off the new year with today. We'll see if you agree. But there's so much talk right now in the online business space about how the old, or maybe I should say classic strategies, like classic marketing strategies, are not working anymore, right? Webinars are dead, challenges are dead, summits are dead, email lists are dead, whatever. I hope no one actually says that last one for sure. But I actually think that all of those things are incorrect. And I have numbers and results from myself and clients and people I don't work with to back it up. But still, I do think that we need to innovate, right? So a webinar strategy that worked in 2018 probably needs a decent update before you run it in 2025, right? Same goes with summits. We're not running summits in the exact same way we did back when I started in 2018 versus what we're doing now. And you shouldn't be either. It's important to stay on top of strategies, trends in the industry, and what people are needing and asking for, and making tweaks with your strategies and with your summit specifically to fit those things. I would argue that with summits, a lot of that is my job, not yours, right? Like, I live and breathe summits every day, and it's easy, or easier, I should say, for me to stay on top of those things where it wouldn't be for you. We go through and revamp our entire curriculum every 18 months to 2 years for this exact reason. So much changes in that time. And we're actually in the middle of those updates right now. It's a months long process. We literally have over 1,000 videos and resources and templates and everything. But things that were working during our last overhaul in 2022 going into early 2023, those things are starting to go out of date. And we've also just discovered new things that work even better. And our grand overhaul is happening because of it. But even though I think that staying on top of the overall strategy that works is my job, you should still have and feel the freedom to add your spin, right? To add your unique ideas, your secret sauce, to make your favorite ways to learn and communicate and interact and build relationships and teach people stand out. The catch is that we don't want those customizations to break the whole system. And there's a balance here. On one hand, you need the freedom to stay true to yourself and your preferences and your values. And sometimes it's a give and take. With values, for example, I think your values always stay front and center, even if it means taking a decrease in results, right? Values always stay front and center. On the flip side, if you want to do something just because, but doing that thing would lose you $20K in all access pass sales or sales of your course afterwards, maybe we just won't do that thing, right? And that's our topic today, having the freedom to innovate and experiment with your summit without breaking everything. Having fresh, exciting, unique ideas is important and fun. And for those of you in saturated industries specifically, that's what will make your summit stand out. If you run a B2B summit, if you run a summit for card makers or crafters, you need those things. But you need to do it in a way that's not going to destroy everything you've built. And the idea for this conversation came up after doing Slack support with our Launch with the Summit Accelerator clients a couple of days ago, chatting with one client who's in a really saturated niche with summits. It is constant. They're always going on, but they're huge. And everyone, all of the hosts, have kind of fallen into the same template for their event. So 2 of the people in the niche joined our Summit in a Box program back in 2020. And then later they both joined our accelerator, Launch with the Summit Accelerator program, to really kick things off. But they started it in the industry, and everyone saw how successful they were and either did their best to copy the events, or they also joined our programs and created their own. And even though they're still wildly successful, it takes more for them to stand out. And this client had an idea for how she wanted to change up her all access pass. So she, had an idea for how she wanted to make the offer stand out from all the other kind of more templated all access pass offers in the space. And there was the potential for it to make a lot more money because it could be about double the price than the others in her space for charging. But there's a risk to that, right? It's not just the rainbows and butterflies. But there are 2 ways I could have gone about coaching with her. I could have said, no, let's play it safe. We know we know that this templated all access pass offer works. We know how it converts. I don't want to ruin anything. So let's just keep it the same thing as everyone else is doing, right? That's what I could have done. That would have been the safe thing for me to do. But the beauty of the accelerator is that we don't have to play it safe like that. Like sometimes, right? If I'm like, oh my gosh, that will actually ruin everything, sometimes I'll do that. But in this case, that's not the direction I went. So instead of focusing on like the fear and making decisions based on what could go wrong, I saw the potential for what could go right. So what if her attendees loved the changes she made to this offer? What if she's charging double, but her conversion rates stay the same or slightly decrease? What if she stands out as an expert who's paving the way and starting new trends in her space? What if she gets to be the first one to take action on this idea and it works the best it's ever going to work because she was first and it was fresh and exciting when they saw it done with her? I've had my hands in hundreds and hundreds of summits. I know the potential risk of messing with something that works, but I could also see with this specific situation that it was pretty low risk because of the way she had it set up. They'd actually still have the opportunity to get like the original type of all access pass offer, and it had a great potential for really big results. However, like I also coached her through how to get rid of some of that risk. So we're not going to say, let's change everything, hope it works. And if it doesn't, be like, oh, darn it, hopefully your next summit will work. You're like, no, that's not what we're going to do. That might be what you have to do if you're doing it on your own. But when I'm coaching, we're going to have a backup plan. And in the accelerator, my coaches and I work closely with clients when registration opens. So we actually have a one-on-one call where we're looking at data for their registration page and their all access pass pages, how those pages are being used, how far people are scrolling, where they're clicking. So if we're looking at that data and see, actually, this change did cut your conversion rates like more than in half, that's an easy fix in my eyes, right? We watch that for the first 100, 200 people that register. We see that. We have a second version of the page ready with the original format, and we just switch them, and you're good to go. Like, I don't think that would actually happen, but it would give so much peace of mind moving forward with this experiment that could do really great things for her summit. And by the way, if you do want that level of support and coaching and experienced eyes and feedback on everything you're doing, you can apply for the Launch with Summit Accelerator. Okay, you can go to summitonabox.co/apply, fill out your application, and we'll get back to you. Usually it's within a business day, but we'd love to work with you. I think in general, if the results of your summit are important to you, there are a few things you don't want to touch. And it's like the core foundational pieces of making an event work. Okay, so you can innovate and experiment, but maybe not so much with these things. So first is your speaker selection strategy. The way you select your speakers, what you're looking for, the criteria, that needs to stay pretty solid. If you want it to work, you need to make sure you have speakers who are likely to promote, who know how to promote, and who have the audience you're looking for. When you stray away from that, unless you have some other kind of way you're going to be drawing attendees, that's really risky. Something else I would encourage you not to touch, unless you really don't care about the results, is the free ticket. So if you want to host a summit to grow your list by thousands of people and very quickly make tens of thousands of dollars from those new people, a free summit is what you're looking for. A paid event will not do that. Okay, so let's not touch the free ticket unless you really know what you're doing, unless you have a big existing audience that you just want to make sales from that audience, or if you want to run a ton of ads. Another one of the pieces you might not want to touch is your all access pass and like overall monetization strategy. Let's not replace the all access pass with your membership. Let's not replace the all access pass with your course. Let's not decide that you think this one thing's going to work better, but it's probably not, and I'll give you an example of that in a minute. And then another thing that I would encourage you not to touch is just kind of like general rules when it comes to positioning a summit. It needs to be specific and attention grabbing. Okay, casting a wide net is just not going to do it anymore. And I do have a couple examples of people trying a few of these changes and then like being disappointed in the results. So first was someone who decided to add like a low price ticket to her summit instead of keeping it free. So she had hosted a couple summits before and she was like, it'd be really nice to have a little extra revenue to attract more quote unquote high quality leads. But she didn't think through how it would be so much more difficult for speakers to promote something with a paid ticket. She didn't think through how some speakers would expect payment because it was a paid event. She didn't think through how that low price would absolutely tank the conversion rate of a registration page. Not expecting any of that leads to really disappointing results, right? The next example is someone who didn't want to add bonuses and some of our other recommended perks to her all access pass, along with some of the pricing strategies we use. Like my people don't like bundles or all these extra things, or I don't like timers. And like some of those I'm fine with. If that's truly your values, that's okay. But her all access pass conversion rate tanked, and therefore her revenue tanked. So like, you just need to know to expect these things when you're going to be experimenting. However, like on the flip side, let's look on the positive side. There are some pieces where you do have more freedom. Things like engagement. If you have a fun and fresh idea for how you'll get your attendees to engage, that's a pretty low risk thing to try out. Unless you want to try a new community platform. That is high risk because it's going to reduce the amount of people who are willing to build it into their daily habit. Therefore, your community engagement are just going to be way lower than you expected. But like, for example, we did this with one of our 2024 summits when we did our choose your own adventure format. That was new. No one had ever seen it in the summit context before. It allowed us to really customize the whole experience for our attendees, and they loved it. Right? It was the biggest risk for that was it was so much more work than I expected. Right? But the attendees loved it. Another place you have freedom to experiment is with your presentation style. Like, I trust you as a business owner to know what presentation style your people want. I've actually heard from speakers that they get way lower results when they participate in audio summits, but if your industry does mostly like slides in their presentations and you want to do like actionable tutorials and demonstrations, or you want to mix in some live sessions, like overall, those are fairly safe things to play around with. Another place where you have more freedom is a specific audience or topic that is fresh. There is so much room and there's going to be so much excitement around a summit positioned in a way that no one has ever seen before. There's a lot of space for those of you running B2C businesses right now. So like, for those of you who don't market to business owners, you market to consumers, huge. This is huge for you. Our B2C clients blow B2B summits out of the water, honestly. Like, they make my results look silly. I'm like, all right, I just need to take a seat or start a B2C business or something. But like, that is a huge opportunity. We actually have a summit coming up just for B2C business owners who want to host summits because of this exact reason. I won't say much about it here, but you can head to summitonabox.co/SWS-waitlist. That was the summit waitlist to be the first to know when tickets are available for that. But when you can get, a fresh audience or a unique position or spin on your topic, that is going to do really great things. So like, just overall, it's important to really think through the change or the changes you're making and the ripple effect impact it can have on your entire summit. So I'd encourage you to give yourself the space to be creative and have fresh ideas and work them in, but pause for that gut check, because trying something new can definitely make your summit stand out, but we don't want it to stand out and look awesome, but then not perform for you on the back end. So if you are someone who really does like to get creative and innovate, if you do want to stand out from the other summits in your space, but you don't want to destroy your results, I would really encourage you to check out the Launch with the Summit Accelerator program. It is a space where you can run all of your ideas by us. We don't just shut you down if it's different than like our recommended strategies. Instead, we'll probably get excited over your idea. We'll walk you through the risks versus rewards. We'll collaborate to find the balance between your idea and still getting the results. We'll help you create a backup plan in case it doesn't work, and we'll watch the numbers and results with you to decide at any point if a shift needs to be made for you to still have a successful summit, right? And usually with the work we do up front, those shifts aren't actually necessary, but it always feels good to have like that safety net. So if you're interested, you can apply at summitonabox.co/apply, or you can just reach out to me on Instagram if you have any questions. But I hope this was helpful. I hope it makes you, half excited to experiment and innovate, but also half just like cautious, because we don't want it to ruin everything you're doing. But thank you so much for tuning into this episode. For show notes and resources mentioned, you can head to the link in the episode description wherever you're listening. In the next episode, we'll be chatting about using gamification to boost summit engagement, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Now go out and take action to plan, strategize, and launch your high converting virtual summit.